want some? Who's next? Huh? How about it? Who wants some?
I am the devil, and I am here to do the devil's work.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Everybody, and welcome back to the VHS Doom podcast. I'm your humble host, Dylan Crutcher. We're so glad that you're joining us again this week for another dive into the shelves of madness. We hope you enjoyed our last episode where we did a deep dive into, I believe it was Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Our timeline gets a little weird, but I'm pretty sure that's what we did last week. So,
yeah, it was.
Yeah, we truly appreciate all of you who've been supporting us along our journey. And if you're joining us for the first time, we're super glad that you're here. Please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. That goes a long way to supporting the show. As always, this week I'm joined by my ever nefarious, dastardly, can-cracking, and always awesome co-host, Mikey Mutant. How you doing, bud?
Hey, guys. I'm doing good.
Good. Awesome. This week we have a very special episode in store for you. To be honest, I may be more excited about this episode than maybe anything we've ever done in the past or ever put out. That's because, this week we are joined by a legend in the horror world. Buddy Cooper, the director of The Mutilator, is in the store with us today. All right. So I think it's really important that I skip all of my usual pandering and begging. I mean, definitely, still subscribe to the show and all that, but I'm not going to beg this week like usual. So we're going to dive right into our interview with Buddy. So, Buddy, thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate it. It's awesome to have you in the store. We call this our VHS rental store. You can see all the tapes.
Yeah, please rewind.
Yeah, please rewind. Yeah. Please be kind.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. What an overpowering introduction. Do I get a copy of this?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll definitely make sure. I know we'll talk a little bit about like where everybody can find you, but I followed you on Instagram, and I know you got a Twitter and a Facebook. We'll share everything with you. So if you want to put it out, you can.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, for sure. And I know I'm actually Paul from Mutant City Horror, just to give them a big shout out, introduced us to Buddy. I just listened to their interview with you. That was a great show. It sounded like you guys had a good time over there.
We tried.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Wonderful. So I think we should just kind of dive right in, I guess. Can you tell us a little bit? I want to make sure we spotlight what you're doing now. I think that's important. I think that the Mutilator is an amazing.
I'm sitting around in my underwear with no shoes on now. You don't want to spotlight that.
Yeah, there you go. We'll try not to put that out there, but I love that. That's a part of that like COVID work culture. You just kind of hang out behind the desk in your undies. That's fine. So I guess before we get jumping into the Mutilator, because I mean. What an amazing film. I kind of wanted to give you a second to talk about what you're working on right now. That way we can talk about that first. And then Mikey and I have a bunch of questions we'll ask you about everything. But what is this project? What are you putting out?
Oh, you mean Mutilator 2?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
I've been fortunate to be invited to podcasts like this one. And I've been interviewed for a magazine or two.
Okay.
And last week, I met Sylvia Cormoran or something, director of Follow Her.
Okay.
Who took her movie around to. We were talking about distribution and how it's the least fun part of the project.
Yeah.
And she suggested that I start taking Mutilator to festivals and showing it, entering it in festivals. Okay. And she generously sent a list of suggested festivals to me. So I'm looking into that. Now, it was shown, it was premiered, in fact, at Joe Bob Briggs Jamboree, which was a festival. So we got some good ink there. Got a hubby, a hubby. And going to Gettysburg this week. I think they're expecting about 1,600 people. So that's going to be, and then the people that have been putting me on podcasts and in magazines and things. I'm doing all I can to get the word out. What can I say?
Yeah,
I have
wonderful.
have an offer in hand. Got a lawyer looking at it. I don't know which way I'm going to go with it,
Okay.
and I may put it in my pocket until I go to another festival to see
Okay.
what happens. Yeah, so I'm
Wonderful.
trying.
No, that makes perfect sense. I mean, the Mutilator is such a cult classic. I remember it's probably been a decade ago at this point, but Mikey and I used to live together, I mean in the same area at least. And we would do movie nights, and he brought the Mutilator to a movie night and
All
introduced
right,
yeah,
Mikey.
yeah,
Yep.
introduced the film to me, and I was like, holy crud, this is awesome. And my brother-in-law even was like a little like, oh gosh, like because he wasn't a horror movie fan. He got
He was especially
yeah.
freaked out about the ending when Egg gets crushed and cut in half.
Yeah. So it made an impression on us. So when when Paul from Mutant City was like, "Hey, I got Buddy Cooper. He might want to do the show." I was like, "Oh my God, yes, let's go." So we were both very excited about it. So it's a this is a big thing for us. So we have done in the past, we've done a couple different director spotlights on the show, and I guess we can kind of dive into our questions here. But I always find it interesting hearing how people got into film. Like, how did you find your way into film? And were you a cinema fan growing up? Is that how you got into making The Mutilator?
Yes, I've always loved the movies. When I was growing up, when I was a boy, we didn't have television.
Okay.
And so we went to the movies every Saturday, double feature. It started at 11 o'clock. And I grew up in the movies and segued into television later. It's something I've always wanted to do. There's no explaining it. It was just always there. And it's
Yeah.
not, wasn't a conscious decision. It's just something I knew was going to happen one of these days. It finally happened.
I love that. I feel like I saw an interview clip with Quentin Tarantino a couple days ago, and he was kind of talking about, you don't for him, like he just loves cinema, and if you really love cinema, you can't help but make a good movie. And I feel like that's what you did. Like you must have just loved cinema, and you just made a
Well,
good movie, right?
thank
So
you. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. When you were a kid, what kind of films did you find yourself drawn to? Like, what were some of the titles that you might have been, oh, I really like that one.
Well, the Saturday doubleheader typically included a Western.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I saw all of those, Gene Autry, Roy Rogers, but my favorite was the Durango Kid. He wore
Okay.
I was also fond of comedy, Abbott and Costello. I loved Abbott and Costello. Just couldn't get enough
My
of
my
them.
dad would watch that a lot with me when I was a kid. I used to love that a lot.
They're
Yeah.
great.
That's
So
amazing.
and I also like horror movies, and weren't very many at that time, but I had seen the Bela Lugosi Dracula,
Uh-huh.
Lon Chaney Jr. Wolfman,
Hmm.
and the real Frankenstein.
Yeah.
God, I forgot the what's the actor's name now? I can't remember.
Boris
Frank
Karloff.
Boris
Boris Karloff.
Karloff. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So those were my three favorite genres. I can't think of any one movie to name,
Yeah.
except for the horror movies. Yeah,
I think we've only covered one Western on this show, right, Mikey? It was
Hmm.
the good, the bad, and the ugly, which is
Yeah.
maybe one of the best Westerns in my head, that I've ever seen. But yeah, I love a good Western. I really do.
Me too.
Yeah, we dove into a few of those in that episode for sure.
yeah.
So
They shoot them in color now. I heard.
yeah, right, for sure. Oh man, so I feel like I kind of cheated because I got to listen into the Mutant City Horror interview, so I feel like I know more than I should know going into an interview. But I think I heard when you were talking to those guys that you own the condo on the beach in North Carolina where you guys filmed. So did you grow up in the area where you guys shot?
Oh yes, I was born across the bridge in Morehead City, and I grew up in Morehead City in Atlantic Beach. I've been living in Atlantic Beach almost my entire adult life.
Okay.
The motel where we shot, where the cast and crew were housed, the Oceanana Motel, was built by my father, opened in '59. So I worked here a lot as I was coming along.
Yeah.
And I bought this piece of land right next to the motel where I built 4 duplexes.
Okay.
And one of the duplexes is half of one of the duplexes is where the thing was shot.
Okay, okay.
Awesome.
So now that I know you own the condo, I had to ask the trophies that are all over the wall in the condo. Were those your trophies? And I have to ask about the pyramid
I knew you were
sinker.
going to ask this.
Oh man, that because it's framed. It's such a cool thing. Was that something you made up for the movie, or is that something that was there, or I don't know?
Wait, that's a whole bunch of questions. What was the last thing you said? The
Oh,
pier?
the pyramid sinkers. You know
Oh,
the
the pyramid sinker. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there is the pyramid sinker is a real thing, but I made up the rest of it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I
I
was
love
like,
that
I
too.
wonder if he was the trophy hunter and he got all those trophies and put them up on the wall.
No, all of those trophies were borrowed.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. No, that was good though. I love that. Okay, so you grew up in the area, which is awesome. So you were able to kind of figure out probably where you already had the shots in your head, right? Just from growing up in the area and putting that all together. So, what was the point where you were spurred like I'm gonna write a movie? Like I assume it came later, right? When were you like I'm gonna make it? I'm gonna do it.
I know this was probably the 12th movie I had written at the time.
Oh,
Been writing for a while. Or no, back then probably wasn't that many at that point. I was going to send myself to film school. I had saved up some money. I had $84,000. I thought sure that would send me to film school. And I read an article in the New York Times, an in-depth article about film schools. And it talked about all the good information, but the article closed by saying, but if you can get a job working on a shoot, you'll learn more working on one movie than you will in 4 years of film school.
okay.
So I said, shoot, I've been reading Weekly Variety, and they were reporting that it was reporting that 30% or a third of tickets being sold at that time were being sold for low budget horror movies.
Mhm.
So I said, wait a minute, I got enough money to make a low budget horror movie, make one. I have a good chance to get my money back. I can make another one by then. I'll know how to make movies.
Yeah.
So that's when I decided to do it, to make a horror movie.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I was gonna ask, and I was wondering, was it a business decision or was it a passion project? And I think at that time, that's like right in the golden age of the slashers, and they were churning out some great films at that time. Actually, when I was doing my research coming into this, I was looking at just old photos of the marquees on some of the theaters, and The Mutilator was in theaters alongside Pieces, which we've covered on the show, which is another that's a Spanish film, right, Mikey?
Yeah, Spanish, but it's made to look like America. Yeah.
Yeah. So another awesome cult classic, and I'm like, wow, what a great time to have a movie in a theater. I would have loved to be around to go see that in the theater. It's very cool.
It was fun. You may be talking about the marquee at Times Square in New York.
It might have been.
Where we
I'm guessing it's probably like 42nd Street. Yeah.
Yeah, and we went to attended a couple of screenings on 42nd Street in Times Square, and the crowd loved it. It was well accepted.
That's amazing.
It did well in the Northeast. That was before bumping noses with the MPAA.
We tend to talk in not the best light about the MPAA on this show because they tend to really gut movies that we
movies.
like. Yeah, so we're not the biggest fans by any means, but yeah. Yeah, I was actually talking to you. I have a friend here in Richmond who's really into horror as well, and he was kind of digging into this after I told him I was going to be talking to you, and he said, "Oh, you know what? I found a news article about the first time it was premiered as The Mutilator and not Fall Break, which was in Newport News, so in Virginia." And he found the little newspaper clipping and sent it over to me, so that was pretty cool.
I went to that screening. I don't know if it wasn't the first one, but I went to Newport News to watch it in that theater. It was in a mall, a shopping mall, And when I came out, there was a small crowd standing around the ticket booth there. And I turned around, I talked to this guy, stood next to him and said, "What's going on? What's the big deal?" He said, "Buddy Cooper's in there. He's going to be coming out any minute." I was shy. I just turned around and walked off.
Oh man, that's funny. So, okay, so that's a good question then, because I think he found that through just searching online that was quote unquote the first. So when was the first time it went up as The Mutilator instead of Fall Break?
Oh, I don't know the date. It was Labor Day weekend of '84, I think.
Okay.
And Marvin Friedlander was distributing it. He's based in New York.
Mhm.
And he broke, I forgot how many screens, but it was a handful. It was several, it was a bunch.
Okay.
And mainly in New York, but in the Northeast. So that may be when it was, maybe it was in that theater at the same time. It was all pretty close in time. It could have been part of that network, what I'm trying to say. So it could have happened all at the same time.
Oh,
But,
okay. Heard. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. So did it ever premiere as Fall Break? Did it ever go into a theater on a marquee as Fall Break? I don't know. I don't know if I read that.
It was, I lit a drive-in theater in Texas,
Okay.
sure. And I think that's the only time it was shown as Fall Break.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, interesting. So I know we on this show every single week I tell Tubi, which is a streaming service, to sponsor us because I watch so much stuff on that site. They have so many good like classic like camp and cult movies. So I watched The Mutilator on Tubi because it's there, and it's actually it's titled as Fall Break in the beginning. I guess they got that print in their collection. So I was kind of pleasantly surprised when I saw that. I was like, oh, how about that? So
Yeah,
Tubi,
that's it.
sponsor
That's
the pod.
interesting. It's interesting. I've heard that copy of that. I don't know how they got it or where it came from,
Huh.
but
Yeah, how about that? All right. So I guess Mikey, do you have any questions you want to
Yeah.
talk about?
Okay, let's see. Because sometimes we usually have the same kind of like notes and stuff. I just wanted to like see if I have anything different.
Yeah, sure.
So when I was watching the documentary last night, I thought it was funny when you and I think Bill Hitchcock were talking about how he did his audition with you, that
yeah.
you had him do a magic trick. And I wanted to know how good of a magician he was.
I was sitting in my office talking with Ben Moore, who was the deputy who was decapitated in the movie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we were about 2 weeks away from rolling and didn't have anybody cast for the character of Ralph. And we were talking about it and moaning, and the paralegal walked in, tapped on the door, said, "There's a guy out here. Heard you're making a movie, wants to be in it." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, send him in." I didn't know anything. And in walked Bill Hitchcock, introduced himself, acting what he did. He said he was a magician, and he had the patter. Oh, God, he had the patter. And he said, "The way you do it." Well, that's what the parlor tricks. I said, "You card tricks." He said, "Yeah." I had a deck of cards in my desk. I pulled it out and tossed it to him. He pulled those cards out and made them sing and dance. I mean, it was unbelievable. Not only was he fancy with the cards, he did tricks. He did magic tricks with the cards. Phenomenal stuff. All the while he's running off this patter. It's cute, it's entertaining, it's humorous.
He was awesome as Ralph.
I looked at Ben Moore. I said, "This is Ralph."
Yeah.
And it was. He just walked in the door. What a stroke of luck that was.
Right. He was
Yeah, that's awesome.
such a bright spot in the movie. He carried so much of the interpersonal the connection. In
Extremely
that. It was
funny.
great. Yeah, so funny. Yeah. So I have a question about the writing process. So when you said you'd written, quite a few scripts up to that point. Yeah.
No, not quite a few at that point. I forgot how far back that was. But I had written a few.
Okay. How long did it take you to flesh out the final draft of the script? Was it a long process for you to get that finished up?
No, it happened quickly. I don't know. I think maybe 2 months. I knew it was going to be on the beach. I knew, and it was going to follow the trail of the standard slasher at that time.
Mhm.
And I was practicing law. I'd go to work an hour early and dictate. And during the day, my secretary would type it up. And at the end of the day, I'd review it for errors and corrections. And the next morning, next day, do it over again. It worked very well.
Oh, that's a great. You had a nice streamlined process. That's amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. So I have to ask on the flip, well, not even the flip side, but the song. So I heard on Mutant City Horror that you were prepared to sing the theme song, which I love that theme song so much. Did you
Such
write
an
the
iconic theme song.
right? Did you write those lyrics? Was that a part of your writing?
No,
Okay.
there's a musical genius whose name is Michael Menard in New York City. And Menard wrote the score. He wrote the music, and he's friends with Lord, Artie Resnick,
Mm.
who co-wrote the lyrics for Under the Boardwalk years ago. I don't know if you know that song, Under the Boardwalk. And it's the right type of music. And I sent Michael a couple of records of the type of music I wanted. And he listened to it, and he picked it up, and he wrote the music, and they together wrote the score. Now, we went to Nyack to record it.
Oh, okay.
And I was going to sing the part that says, "We're going on up." I was all excited. I was ready to go. And we're in this studio, and Michael Menard noticed a professional singer walking by. He said, "Come here, man. Let me get you." And so we got the guy to say, "We're going on up." And I was relegated to the group that goes like this. We were the breakers.
Love it. Love it. Okay. Wonderful.
That was a fun day. Yeah.
Did you? We haven't seen it, but were you able to carry that theme into the Mutilator 2? Does that make an appearance?
The theme song,
Yeah.
it does. If you listen carefully at the party scene, it's very low, and a different variation of very low in the background.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I wasn't sure if that would kind of carry in, but that makes okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's great.
That's one of many Easter eggs in there.
I love it. And I think I was seeing on your Instagram or maybe Facebook that
Facebook, probably.
maybe it was I heard it on Mutant City Horror, but Big Ed makes an Easter egg appearance, right? The original Big Ed. Jack, is that Jack?
Yes.
Yeah, he's in there, right?
Jack Chatham. We were in pre-production on this thing in late 19, and then the pandemic struck.
Sure.
And we shut down. Before that, Jack had agreed to be in the movie. He was going, and but it was a few years later. He was old, he's 96 now, and he just said, "Bud, I can't do it. I can't do it." So
yeah,
he did say he wanted to come down and visit the set, and we said, "Come on, man! I said, if you show up, you're going to be in the movie." But he came, and there's a breakfast scene, and he's sitting in a booth. And I told the DP, "Shoot that guy," and he did. So there's 3 seconds of Jack sitting at a booth looking at a menu. He's got fans. We owed it to his fans.
Yeah.
Did he do the face?
He's such a great guy. Oh yeah, but it's his regular face. It's not the big head face. It's the Jack face.
There you go. There you go. That's amazing. I think that's great. I just love the Mutilator, how it was cast was just such it was gold, like the way that everybody worked together was amazing. So I was kind of wondering, so the original Mutilator versus Mutilator 2, how is the casting process? How did that change between the original and the second? I hope that question makes sense.
It's a big difference. It's a big difference.
Okay.
For the first one, I put the word out and started talking to people locally. Didn't have a lot of luck. Expanded the search area to include Eastern North Carolina. Got a few submissions from agents and picked up a few people, including Jack Chatham, who was working. He was a teacher in Greensboro. Had an agent since that. I had a casting call at East Carolina University. People came. Ruthie Martinez came. She's from Chapel Hill, and she got the job. And then I advertised in New York. We went up and couldn't find what I was looking for. So, we got to go to New York. Okay, we went to New York, hired a small studio, put an ad in some rag, and a handful of people showed up, including Francis Raines and Michael Menard. And they came back and they just got it. They were good.
Yeah.
I mean, not Michael Menard, Matt Mittler. Matt brought a lot of energy to it. He's interesting to watch.
Yeah, yeah, he
And
did.
then Ben Moore suggested a waitress who had served him the night before in a restaurant, and that was Connie Rogers. That's how she got hired. Okay, Ben. Okay. And then Bill Hitchcock just wandered in that day. Just walked in off the street.
I love that. I love that. That's great. Oh man.
The new way, you put an ad in this online service back. I can't remember that break screen or something, breakthrough.
Backstage.
Backstage, and you're swamped with thousands of suggestions, and you go through them and you find some people. A couple of people get recommended, word of mouth. Damian Mackey was like that, and Damian's friends with Terry Kaiser. He suggested Terry Kaiser, so a few people were picked up like that, and then the rest of them came through backstage applications.
Okay.
You never leave your computer. Sit right here and make the decision. Don't get to take any fun trips to New York.
Right. Hey, there you go. I guess that some things get easier, some things get harder, right? So I have to imagine making an overall film, the equipment you needed and all of the project, in 84, 83 was hard, but I guess it's probably easier to get stuff made now, but at the same time, getting it, there's so much to compete with. There's so much media out there. Maybe the hard part's the marketing at this stage in the game. I don't know. Are you noticing that?
I think it was hard then. It's hard now.
Yeah.
And making the movies were the technology is very different, and I have to say that both of them were fun, but looking those old things around the old days, shooting in 35, that was fun.
Right, yeah.
Some of that fun is missing. What's left is still fun. You move the camera, you point, you talk. But in editing, what used to take a couple of hours, takes a couple of seconds now.
Oh, sure.
The equipment's lighter, easier to move around. There are a lot of advantages.
Yeah.
But I swear, shooting at 35 was fun.
I've been.
I'm glad I had a chance to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what an experience for sure. So, Mikey, I know I'm hogging all these questions, so I'm going to let you take it for a second.
You're answering a lot of stuff I had too.
Okay, good.
What was it like directing your son and your wife in the beginning scene of the movie?
Good question.
It was easy and it was fun. I had hired an actress to play that role, and she called 2 days before we were shooting and said, "I can't do it. I'm a nice Christian woman. I just can't be in that kind of movie." So I went to my wife Pam, who was helping with wardrobe, helping with cater, and helping with something else. Meanwhile, running a job and taking care of the children. And I said, "Pam, I need to do one more thing for the movie." She said, "What?" I said, "Get shot and die." she said, "Okay." And she did it. I think she did a great job.
It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did.
And Trace was, and that was, her performing career was over with that scene. Trace was fun to work with. He was young. He was 9 or 10 at the time, and he was really conscientious. We were shooting the scene of the students at the bar while they were putting prosthetics on him out back. And when out back, he was crying. I said, "Trace, what was wrong?" He said, "I got to go home. I got homework to do." I said, "All right, time out. Shoot the kid." we shot Trace, and he got to go home and do his homework. But he was great to work with.
Oh, that's so funny. Hey, priorities and responsibility. That's a good thing there for sure. I love that. I love it. So I think everybody knows, slasher films are really driven largely by their special effects department, because that's what a lot of people want to see is those great practical effects. And The Mutilator had amazing effects from Mark Shostrom, who then he went on and he would be known for his work in a lot of stuff, but Evil Dead 2, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Farm Beyond, and others. I checked his IMDb, and just a couple of years before The Mutilator, he actually worked in the makeup department for Slumber Party Massacre, which Mikey and I have talked about on this show. So you got someone really amazing in this mix. And can you tell me kind of how you came to work with him and what was it like working with Mark in the makeup department?
I experienced a lot of luck in this movie,
Okay.
and Sherstrom was part of it. I had put an ad in some LA trade magazine and had received responses from a handful of people, and I was talking to them. And I talked to Mark. He hadn't done a lot, but what he had done I thought was good. And I just talking to him on the phone, I got the feeling that he was a good guy and would be easy to work with, and chose him over the others. And he came, and they brought Chow with him, his assistant. And I had hired a young woman who tried for one of the roles but didn't make it. She wanted to work on a movie. I said, you can be the third person in the special effects department. She said, okay. She came down, and 6 weeks before we shot, Mark and his crew were building stuff. And the first day, her boyfriend came down, and they had a knockdown, drag out, blue air fight. And when the door opened, we're all in the family motel, and they're saying all these things.
Oh, no.
And I told her, I said, look, we just can't have that. You got to go. And she was all upset.
Yeah.
But a guy named Edmund Farrell had been calling me. Want to work on your movie? I'm crewed up. I don't have anything. Call me again. I've got the same story.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out later, he called the third time. And I said, well, I've just had an opening in the special effects department. If you'd like to try that. Boom, he was there in just a few minutes. Turned out that was one of his lifelong loves. He's a cinema guy, but special effects is one of the things he really liked.
Wow.
And I overheard him tell somebody his side of that story years later. I mean, like 2 or 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he got to the third phone call, and he said, I told myself I was going to call that son of a bitch one more time. I said, hey, you talking about me? Anyhow, so Ed Farrell was on there, and he was a big help.
There you go. I love it.
In fact, Chow had to leave before it was over, and at the end, it was just Mark and Ed.
Wow.
Well, I did have before we get off the topic of Mark Sjostrom,
Yeah.
I wanted to know about the food fight that happened on his birthday party. We're talking about a documentary.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say you've done your research.
Yeah, I'm a big fan, as I said before.
He had a birthday, and we had a small party in a room, the meeting room at the motel, and we were having cake. And I don't know why, but I had some of them. I just went up and smeared it on his face, and he smeared some on me, and that sort of started it. There was food flying everywhere.
Awesome.
And the manager's wife had an upright piano stored in there, and somebody, me, I think, put a beer can on the thing and left it there. And the next day, there was a white ring where the can had been sitting, and that woman threw a fit. That was Memorial Day weekend. We had our hotel was booked.
Uh-huh.
So we had to scramble and find rooms for the cast and crew all around the beach, which we did. And everybody moved out for Memorial Day weekend. Then we're moving back in after Memorial Day weekend. We got to finish this movie. And the manager said, you can't come back. I said, what do you mean we can't come back? He said, you can't have your rooms back. You made a ring on my wife's piano. We're not going to let you come back.
Oh, no.
This is my father's motel.
I was going to say.
He's behind the project. And
Yeah.
the manager tell me, I went upstairs and told my dad, I said, Dad, I got a problem. He said, what's that? I said, what's the name? Won't let us back in the motel. Daddy said, you go on, I'll take care of this. I'm not sure, but I think the manager went around and opened the doors individually for us. Anyhow, we got our rooms back, and that was all part of the fight, the food fight. Food fight almost cost us the project. But it was fun.
That's awesome. That's a great story.
Not everybody can say they smeared cake on Mark Sherstrom's face.
Right? Yeah, there you go. That's something to be able to say for sure. Nice. Mikey, what else you got, man? Because I have some plot
I think you wanted to ask him about the pool.
I
right?
The
did,
pool.
yeah, the pool.
Yeah.
So I could not. Mikey told me this because he was doing his research, but I'm like, man, I cannot figure out how they got that pool to be so murky. Those actors would go under the water and they just disappear. I just don't understand it. But I was told it was milk. It was milk that went in the pool. Okay, how much milk did you have to pour in that pool to get that to work?
I wish I had counted, but I didn't. It was a lot.
It was a lot. Yeah.
We go. The guy, me and the outlaw, was pouring it in there for us. He worked here, and he said, "About that to know, need more, put some more in there." I don't know how much time. I don't know how many times we had that conversation.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And so was that like a was that just a local pool, like a public pool? It had that cover over it. So I was kind of wondering about that.
That's the pool at the Oceanana Motel.
Oh,
A
okay.
crew was doing some work on a building, or putting a roof on at Emerald Isle, and our set carpenter was aware of it. And I said, we can use that tent. Asked them, and they agreed. They brought it down and set it up for us and left it there for a few days.
Hmm.
We gave them an attaboy. That's all it costs.
Yeah,
We glad to have it. Yeah,
I feel like that added a really neat layer to that set of scenes.
it did.
There were a couple things that led into that section. I'm a big fan of framing, right? I like when shots are really well framed. And you did a shot out at the back door, down the stairs where those curtains are flapping on the side in the wind. And
Yeah,
that added some level of like it was just a little ominous, right? Because you're getting into the thick of it, and the curtains are just kind of flap, flap, flap. And then once they get into that pool area, then you got that cover, and it just adds like kind of like a weird, ominous kind of feeling. So I liked all of that. Those were good choices. I really liked those.
yeah. The shots at the pool are some of the prettiest shots in the movie.
Mhm.
Two things about the flapping curtains. One, the DP Peter Schnall chose most of the shots, most of the framing, and as geniuses go, he's up there with Michael Menard. They're both great. The sound of the flapping. Now, Hughes Winborn was editor,
Mhm.
and we were making our own soundtrack. We were doing our own Foley's,
Mhm.
and we got some in the editing room. There's big bins where the straps go, and those big bins are lined with canvas bags. So we pulled a couple of canvas bags out, and we watched the scene of it, and we flapped our bags to to the timing of those curtains, so that noise was created in the lab, and it worked.
That was
We were
perfect.
we were proud of how well it worked. Yeah.
Yeah, that was perfect. That really came together well. I just love that framing. I really did. I had one other question. So I know we already talked about casting a bit, but one of my favorite scenes, like funny scenes, kind of a lighter scene, is in the beginning when Ralph or Bill Hitchcock goes into the convenience store and is trying to convince the clerk to give him the senior discount, right? And those two actors, the couple that was in there, and they're like, ha, we got another college kid to buy 2 6-packs instead of one. Were they just locals, or were those like walk-ons, or I don't know. I
Yeah.
was kind of wondering.
The woman was someone I think I had met from practicing law. I don't really remember right now.
Mhm.
The guy was Fred Tillery, whom I had known just about my whole life. A story about Fred, a couple, well, I'll just tell you one. He worked for the post office.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I said, I'm expecting a package from the Bar Association. I had taken the test. I was waiting to see if I passed or not.
Yeah.
And he said, I'll bring it to you. I said, well, I said, I think it's going to come this weekend. He said, I'll bring it to you. I said, if it's a big, thick package, don't bring it. Because that includes an application for the next year's test. If it's a little thin thing like a letter, bring that one. That means I made it. And I was standing in the kitchen at my mother's house, and I saw Fred pull up in the driveway and get out of the car, and had a little thin envelope. I thought, all right.
There you go.
And so
Okay.
Fred delivered my good letter. As an aside, it's all aside, isn't it? Fred was known locally as the bartender.
Okay.
And if you had a party, Fred moonlighted as a bartender. You'd get Fred to run the bar for you. Fred died recently.
Oh.
He has a son, Ray, and in Mutilator 2, Ray plays the bartender in Mutilator 2.
Oh, cool.
Yo, I love that. Oh man. Yeah, I really loved. He was just so funny in that bit when he was like, "I got him to get another one." I just thought it was so funny. That was a good scene.
Alan Napper, he's a good guy. He
Yeah,
really was.
that was fun. And then I guess Mikey, I'll let you take it after this. But my last question on like actual filming, just questions on the filming of the movie. You did a lot. There were a lot of night scenes, and notoriously, I feel like older movies, when they get restored, not so much, but originally, and I've watched some of the original clips from it, you did a lot of night scenes and they turned out well. You got good shots and it wasn't grainy and it looked good. Did you have, like when you were on the beach, when you were in the pool, when you were doing these night scenes, did you have like an exorbitant amount of lighting? These newer movies, when they make these
Yeah.
night scenes, have giant light structures that they put up by cranes. What was your lighting structure like on that film?
We had a lot of lights.
Yeah.
We had a couple of HMIs, I think they're called,
Okay.
that we used. There's a scene with the kids walking on the beach and there's a moon reflecting on the water.
Mhm.
That's not the real moon, that's our moon, made in an
Oh.
HMI.
I was wondering. Okay.
Uh, Peter Schnall knew what he was doing,
Hmm.
and he set up all the lights. He ordered them all,
Okay.
had them done. I mean, I didn't know anything about making a movie,
Mhm.
and I was lucky to get people like Peter Schnall who did know how to make movies, and
Yeah.
I learned from them, and fortunately, they exercised really good judgment in the making of Mutilator.
Yeah, it sounds like the team you had across the board, from the actors to the production crew, really, it was like just a great team that you put together. And I feel like that's the case in a lot of projects or a lot, even workplaces. You don't need to know everything and you don't need to be the best at everything, but if you can find the
Mm.
right people, it can make a really great project. So it seems like you really did that, which is
Yeah,
great.
most of the department heads in Mutilator were operating one level up from their usual job. They all wanted to move up, and this was an opportunity for them to try that. And so they worked really hard. They wanted, not only were they talented and smart and skillful, but they wanted it also.
Mhm. Yeah, you can see that. It definitely reflects in the finished product. Mikey, what you got before? Because I think those are all my questions about the filming and about the old film. I kind of want to ask some questions about Mutilator too, but I want to make sure, Mikey, you get all your questions in.
Oh, okay, so I have two more questions. One's about Mutilator too. If I'll do that one after the first one. So what was your favorite kill in Mutilator one?
Hmm.
Favorite kill? Oh
Yeah.
man, all of them. I don't have a favorite.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if I can think of a story about one. Oh, I can tell you a story about the when Mike gets it with the outboard motor.
Hmm.
That was not the way it was supposed to be shot. Scherstrom and his crew had prepared a prosthetic torso hung on a frame filled with gore, and we're supposed to get a close up of the propeller blade slicing through the prosthetic and the gore flying out. And the thing was too thick. The propeller blade wouldn't cut it. Nothing
Oh
would happen.
man.
So what we're going to do now? I don't know. So the set carpenter I was talking about earlier had an idea to run a tube up to the propeller of the outboard motor blade and just feed the blood up there and let the blood spray it all around.
Oh, okay.
So we did, and that's the way that got shot. And the other prosthetic with the slashes in it fit more in, and he died. He went down. So that was not the way it was supposed to be shot, but it worked out all right with that blood spraying and Big Ed grinning in the background, or grimacing rather.
Yeah. Yeah,
That
that's
was
such a
one.
great shot. No, that's
We use that as one of the PR shots for Fall Break. And
oh,
anybody who's going to Gettysburg this weekend can buy one signed by Jack Chatham. I got
oh, for real?
10. I got 10, so get there early.
Hey, yeah, we're gonna make sure this gets out. I'll get these clips out onto our social media. So, for my East Coast listeners, you hear that? You got 10 of them, you can purchase them. So get down there quick and get there early. That's awesome. I love to hear that. Cool. What else you got, Mike?
So we're going into the second movie.
Mhm.
How much after the first one does this one take place?
Faster?
How much later? Is it 40 years later? Is that kind of
Yes. Yes. The setup is that the remake of The Mutilator is being made, and it's a film within the film. And
Oh, okay.
and the rap party is that night, and that gave us an excuse to invite some of the talent from the Mutilator to appear in this one. And Bill Hitchcock and Ruthie Martinez are going to be there. Connie and Ben have died. Maury has died, and Matt and Francis didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Jack was not able. He signed himself off. But so we have a few members of the original Mutilator cast and Mutilator 2, and that's how that comes to happen.
Okay. So
cool.
not to ask too many questions, because I don't want you to give away too much information about the film by any means, but
Right.
I know a lot of things have been remade. This is like the age of remakes, right? So
It never does.
right. So I like that that's where you're positioning this story. This is a remake. And is it somebody is mad about another remake of such a great film? And I don't know, you don't have to tell too much, but I'm getting the feeling like, okay, yeah, that it makes sense. I don't know.
No, but that would have been a good one. I wish I thought about that.
I was just
But
wondering, yeah.
the next one, we use that the next time.
Right, there you go. Yeah, I'm tired of remakes, and I'm gonna get him for doing it. So, oh man. So I guess it is 40 years later, right? So you make this awesome cult film. It becomes really just a lot of people's favorite film. If you go on Instagram, you go on any social media, and you search The Mutilator, people are wearing the shirts. People are repping this movie, and there's nothing for 40 years. So what spurred you to come back and do this film at this point? Was there, or had you been talking about it, before? What brought you back now, I guess?
Yeah, we started talking about a sequel before we were through shooting the first one. And
Okay.
the crew was coming up with ideas. But I had trouble with the first one.
Hmm.
Maybe you're aware, which led to financial trouble.
Hmm.
It took me a while to get my money back, and then I had two children going to college. I had a law practice that required a certain amount of attention.
Sure.
That's an understatement. Uh,
Yeah, my wife is a lawyer.
she had my sympathy.
I'll tell her that.
I finally went to AFI. Both my children were going to school in Poughkeepsie. My son was at Babson, my daughter was in CIA, Culinary Institute of America.
Mhm.
And so I felt okay about abandoning the nest. My wife and I moved to California, and I went to AFI and stayed out there for a few years, chasing a career. It never happened. I came home. My folks were getting old. My dad didn't have anybody to rely on.
Mhm.
And then he died a year or two later, and my sister's and elderly mother asked me to take over the oversight of the family business, which I did. And that took another 20 years. And then
Yeah.
it was I do it or don't do it.
Yeah.
So it was time.
I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, that is responsibilities, right? You got to take care of your responsibilities first, and you did, and that's what you got to do. I'm glad though you finally found the time to do the creative, right? That is so important. So I'm so excited to see the finished product when we get a chance. So that would be great. And then okay, another question. So Mark Shostrom for the original, how did you work out the effects for two? Who's the effects artist? Who's on that team?
Uh, his name is Joe Amos, and he makes an excellent replica. There's a head. There's more than one head, but there's at least one head. And now I've already said too much.
No, no.
He could take somebody's face, for instance, and make a duplicate. I swear you wouldn't be able to pick the real one from the others.
Okay, so he's very talented. You got a talented effects artist in there. That's great.
He's talented. He's talented in that respect, yes.
Wonderful. I'm excited. I can't wait to see that. Mikey, what else you got? I feel like I'm cutting in. I'm sorry.
No, he answered everything I wanted to ask, and you asked all the other questions too.
Wonderful.
Mikey,
Wonderful.
what does that say on your cap? I can't quite read it.
It's a death metal band called Internal Bleeding.
Mikey's got great hats. He's got a lot of
Yeah.
them. So I guess at this point in the film's journey, I think you already mentioned this. You mentioned it in the beginning. You got an offer in your pocket. So you're still working out you're doing the festivals and trying to just get the offers that you need in as many as you can.
Well, I
What?
mean, there's one, but go
Right?
ahead.
Yeah,
The,
right.
the
Yeah.
right one. Yeah.
Well, hey, let's get you as many as we can, right? Let's get you 10 if
All
we can.
right.
But you got to find the right one, right? So
Yeah.
for the fans, because I feel like you just have really dedicated fans for this project. I or for the original Mutilator too, right? There are so many people who really love that film. How can they help? Like our listeners who are so supportive. We've done interviews with a few different types of artists. We've had comic book artists on, we've had other movies come on, younger directors. So, what can we do and what can we ask our listeners to do to help support? Is it coming out and seeing your movie at the festivals? What's the best stuff for us to do to help you out?
I wish I had a good answer for that because it's a really great question I can use to help.
Mhm.
Uh, going to the festival, but getting the word out, telling everybody that they like it.
Mhm.
And I don't know how you would get in touch with some of the streaming services, Tubi or Shudder or any others.
Oh, we can tweet them.
Send send a message to them that you'd like
Yeah.
them to get Mutilator 2.
Okay, we can do that. Yeah. So if you guys are listening in, and we'll share this on all of our social medias, the Mutilator handles. So on Instagram, it's Mutilator2. On Facebook, it's The Mutilator. And on Twitter, it's Mutilator2 from what I see. Go follow. I think it's very, very important. One of the best things that we can do in today's day and age is social media make such a big impact on marketing. So let's all go follow, the Mutilator 2 accounts. And I think we can share, and I think we can all, tell, hey, Tubi, pick it up. I think that we can do that. So that's great. If there's if there's a screening near you, go check it out. If you're on the East Coast and you're near Gettysburg, or you can get to Gettysburg this weekend, it's April the 20th from what I saw. Is that correct, buddy?
Let's see. It starts Friday afternoon, but Saturday the 20th.
The 20th.
I think both Mutilator and Mutilator 2 are going to be shown that same day.
Double feature. All right.
Awesome.
That's the way to do that. So if you're near, go check it out. If you're not near, follow, and make sure that you're sharing everything that's going on with the Mutilator 2 pages, because I think that makes the more buzz we can get you, the better off you'll be, and hopefully you can get the distribution that you're looking for. I know that's when we've interviewed people in the past, and when Mutant City Horror, who we're really close with, has interviewed people in the past, they say sometimes, distribution is where movies go to struggle. And I hate that. I hate that part of it. So if we can help you out at all, we will.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Buddy, I appreciate your time so much. I know we didn't take up the full hour, but I feel like that was a really amazing interview, and I feel like I learned so much. I think that covered all the
Me too.
questions we had. So is there anything you want to close out with, or just anything you want to say?
Well, you didn't ask me about which pictures I want to recommend.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, Dylan.
I didn't put that in my notes. I emailed you and said, hey, can you please have 5 movies ready? I think that is the most important part of our show, because we're a video rental show. All right. So typically we send our listeners home with 5 rentals. That's what we call them a week. It's 5 suggestions. We do 4 feature films and 1 family friendly film. But what if you got 5 and you want to recommend whatever you want, you go for it. I would love that. This is a list curated by Buddy Cooper. How cool is that?
And I wrote it down here on WordPerfect. Let me see if I don't. So what I have is my list up here.
Oh, okay.
And number 1 on my list is Alien. Remember the Ridley Scott? Fantastic. Next, War of the Worlds. That's the 1953 version with Gene Barry.
Wonderful.
And number 3, Young Frankenstein, Gene Wilder. One of my
what a
favorites.
good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More recently, American Mary from the Soska Sisters.
Okay.
That's a great one.
That's a good one. And a new one, Follow Me by Sylvia Kaminer. That's one you haven't heard of. I got you.
No, yeah. I
Yep,
think you
you
got
did.
me. Okay.
That's on a lot of streaming services. I just watched it a couple nights ago, and she's a very interesting person. I recommend that one. I liked it a lot. And my family-oriented picture, Willy Wonka, Gene Wilder version.
Oh, wonderful.
Awesome.
Yes.
That's a classic.
What a classic film. And you know what? Kind of an intro to horror movies for kids when they go down that tunnel in the boat. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. That scared the mess out of me when I was little. So I love it. All right, y'all. You heard it here. That is Buddy Cooper's curated rental list for y'all this week, which is an amazing thing for us to be able to say on our little podcast. Mikey and I started this podcast a year ago, just so we could hang out more. And here we are talking to the director of one of the films that we watched at our movie nights a decade ago. So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Buddy, for coming on. We really
Thank you.
appreciate it. And we are going to go make sure that we share this all over the place and get you as much notoriety as possible. And if you are still booking podcasts and you need any, if you want me to send you a list or make any introductions, you just let me know. And I can do that too, because we know quite a few people who would love to talk to you for sure.
All right, yeah. If you would be willing to spread the word, I would welcome invitations.
Absolutely.
And thank you very much for having me on this show. Y'all have really made me feel good. Thanks a lot. I feel a whole lot better. You made my day. So done more than that. I really feel good. I'm gonna carry this good feeling around for a long time.
There you go. I appreciate that, man. Yeah,
Thanks
and
a lot.
we appreciate you. All right. Well,
Thank you
you
so
have
much
a
for coming.
great rest of your day, and I'll go ahead and I'll end this out. And good luck with everything, and have fun in Gettysburg.
Okay, I'm gonna do my best.
All right, sounds good. I'll talk to you. Bye.
Bye.